on the IO group. Was on the IO group. So you can go to the IO group and have a look at this link. And I can even copy and paste it in the chat if you want. Well, that ain't working either. So what I'm going to talk about is that's all I got to say about Wayne. I had asked somebody to come on here, and because they knew Wayne better than me, but that person didn't show up. So we're going to do the
I'm
section.
sorry, Jeff. Question.
Yes.
So who has taken over the trusteeship of those repeaters then?
So quite a bit of it is Rick Broussard, N5KJN.
Okay.
And I'm sure that he'll
Can I inject something, Jeff?
Sure.
Underwood. Yeah. It's actually the Houston Amateur Mobile Society that
Right.
is a trustee.
Right.
And if for more information, look at qsl.net/hams, and you can get information on this society who supports the large number of repeaters. So yeah, it's a little early on the questions about whose call sign is going to end up on the repeaters, but the hams group supports the repeaters.
Right. Good answer.
Thank you.
Sorry, which ham group again? Can you repeat?
Put it in the chat section, Dave.
Oh yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
I'll do that.
So anyway, the section stats, and then at the bike around the bay, we had a failure, and got a couple of pictures, and we're gonna talk about it, and then I'm gonna make a plea: don't change the gender. So you can get the guess on what that's about, and then we'll talk about bike around the bay. So here are the stats. Some of you may not be watching this, so I guess I'll have to read it. Number of areas members, 1743, which is up 28 from the prior month. 28 DECs, ECs, and ASECs reported. That's 5 less than last month, I believe. Total number of DECs, ECs in the section is 72. Number of areas net sessions held, 90. Number of areas net sessions held with NTS liaison, 62. Total number of participants in nets that were reported, 1,953. And there's the call signs of all of the ECs, DECs, ASECs that reported for the month. Number of exercises this month, 58 for 806 hours. Number of training events this month, 35, 427 hours. Public service events, 13 at 267. That should ramp up for the next reporting period. November and December are really high public service event months. Community service events, 12, 268 hours. Emergency events, 8. I don't know what those were. I guess I could pull up a whole bunch of reports and figure it out, but they said it was 8 for 156 hours. No Skywarn events. Meetings this month, 32, 386 hours, and unclassified events, 36, which is generally record keeping, 352 hours. Total number of areas operations, 194 for 2,664 hours of service. And the ARRL section where I report this to the league is still broke. A screen pops up, that's all it does, which is better than this site cannot be reached. I guess it's better than that. I don't know. Some stuff that I had seen in the background, and you others may have seen it. They had either very poor IT manager at the league or something, but they're blaming that failure on their IT manager from some emails that I have seen.
Is it an ex-IT manager?
I believe so.
Okay.
So that's all I got to say about that, unless I get in trouble.
Thank you, Forrest.
There was so this is a picture of an ICOM 2720. That's the very first radio that I had in 2004. This is not the actual radio. This is a representation. What I like to do at events is I like to pass out every radio that I can to someone that doesn't have as much equipment that I do, or even people that don't have a license, so that they can listen and react, not necessarily talk, but react. And maybe that will get them the bug to get their license, get some equipment, and get on the air and help us out. So when I installed this equipment into I think Hardwick actually installed it. I gave it to him and it was pre-programmed with the frequencies that we were going to use for the bike around the bay. And he installed it, but the channels, something wasn't going right. So we thought it was the antenna. So the radio wasn't working. It obviously had power, so it's not this power thing here in the middle. The radio was okay. And so we thought it was the antenna. So we changed out antenna because you key it up and it would do nothing. And we would change to other repeaters and it would do nothing. So it's the antenna. So we changed out antennas and it did nothing. So I unplugged the microphone from the head of the radio and plugged it directly into the back of the radio, and it did nothing. So what does that tell you? To me, it tells me it's the microphone. But the microphone comes in two parts. It's either the handset part or the cable part. My bet is it's the cable part. Something has failed in the cable. This is not the same cable that the radio was born with, but it seems to be in pretty good shape. It's not frayed like a lot of radio microphones turn into. But anyway, so I put this radio back in the bag, and another one of our hams at the event had brought 2 radios. A lot of people brought 2 radios. So we just got out another radio and hooked it up, and used the same power cable, different radio, and the antenna that didn't work, we put that back in and it worked. So different combination of stuff, and we got this person on the air. He didn't say anything, but he certainly was educated about what was going on. So that's why we do this, to see what failed and what works and what doesn't work. Here's a pet peeve of mine. This is one of the radios that I inherited from the Harris County Toll Road Authority. They were a long time ago. This is the ICOM 2820. I was given this radio to program just like the radios, or the same channels that were at Transtar. So I did that, and I go to take it back, and that group that controlled this radio was disbanded. And so I said, who do I give it to? And whoever the person that I talked to at the toll road said, keep it till we call for it. Well, I still have it. But what someone had done in their geniusness is they had changed the gender of the radio. They took out the T connection that the radio was born with, and they put these 2 little danglies down here. And while that might be a good idea on the surface, it is not. You might have all kinds of adapters and stuff, and that's the key word. You have to have an adapter to go back into that. And while I have a gazillion of them, this is the one radio that does that. So it's the one radio, it's the redheaded stepchild that has to be treated different than the rest of my radios. So all of my equipment will not fit all the radios the same. These connections right here are the same on every radio. Let's not change them out. Let's not change this out. And every time you cut this, it gets a little shorter. But anyway, let's not do that. So that's the change the gender thing. This is not a good, the design of this radio is not good. The back of this headset has 2 magnets on it, and it sticks into the back of the radio, and it's just not good.
Are you saying that the power pole is what's not adaptable?
It is adaptable, and I don't want to use that word. I want to plug in just like it was born. I don't want to do any adapting. I want it to go straight from, if I have another radio that fails, take that radio out, plug this radio in, but I can't unless I have an adapter that goes back to the white T plug, whatever those T's are called. You have to have an adapter, and I have one, but if they would have left it alone, I wouldn't have to do that.
Go back to the previous picture, would you?
It doesn't show it.
I thought that white thing you had.
No, oh, it's like this. Yes, that's what it looks like. And And I also have, I have another, a different kind of a plug-in, and I don't remember what the radio was that I got it from, but I have two different types of plugs. But yeah, I was born with this. And also not all power cords have these fuses. And so if you get a cheaper model, if you get a $10 model or an $8 model, it's not going to have the fuses. If you get the $20 or $30 model, it's going to have the fuses.
Yeah, I'm confused because I've never seen this T adapter, this white adapter you got circled,
Yeah.
not mounted on the chassis, and the cord just goes into that.
So if I could pick one up from over here, the other end of it that plugs into it, you can't see it, but I'm holding it up to the screen. But here's the other end of it. Or here's one that's exactly like it, right here in my hand. And this is plugged into my power supply. And so when I do the net, then I just plug any radio except for the 2820 right into this little cord that came with the radio. And every radio comes with this, but somebody decided they were going to put this on there, be fancy and put that on there. Good idea, but not a good idea, in my opinion.
I've
Never
configured
change
all
it.
radios and devices to Anderson Power Pole, so that makes it easier for me to integrate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I've gone to power poles with most of my stuff.
Yeah, and Jeff, with all due respect, I totally agree with Kirk and Sherwin. Anderson power poles are universal. And
Agree. I have a lot. I have my own little 8-banger or whatever we made when Ken Mitchell was the DEC. That's a panel that you just plug everything into. I agree with that. I personally do not recommend changing the gender of a radio. That's all I got to say about that. So, bike around the bay. This is what we did over the weekend. The route changed a little bit. Some volunteers that we had changed a little bit, including one of the guys that's on the call here. Just a second, and I'll tell you who it is. Or he can just tell us who it was. Who's the guy that's on this call that was on the route yesterday? Where'd he go? Can y'all still see my slide? I'm talking about Charlie. Didn't you do the bike ride yesterday?
Turn your off
Yes,
here.
this is Charlie. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I saw you at Rest Stop 5, and I didn't see you day 2, but I heard you on the radio.
Yes, I was at Bayland Park on day 2.
Yep, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't stop in and see the ham. I don't know what I had to do, but it was not that. So anyway, thanks, Charlie. Anyway, that was the bike ride. We had hams from Bear, Brazoria, Fort Bend, Galveston, Harris, and Montgomery counties participating in this event. Our 2 net controls that we had, both were from Montgomery County. We had one of our turtles for Bike Around the Island came from Bear on his own dime. Well, he did get a hotel Friday, Saturday night, but other than that, he was on his own dime. The local guys from Brazoria County showed up, did their assignment, and then went back home. No hotel room required. Fort Bend County, Luke, I don't know if he's on the call, Luke Bugler. He also did he did both days, but so we put him up in a hotel. And we had a couple of Galveston County folks participate. PGY was one of them. He worked both days. Numerous Harris County folks. And both of our net controls came from Montgomery County. So a good wide group of volunteers. We had hams in the SAGs and all the rest stops, and motorcycle marshals. Well, on that event, to be a motorcycle marshal, you have to have your ham radio license. And that's all of my presentation. I'll probably have some stuff to comment about Russell. Depends on what he has to say, but I really enjoyed his event. So net control, back to you.
Well, thanks a lot, Jeff. Any questions quick before we go on to Dave? Why don't you release the screen, Jeff?
I had to figure out how to do that.
Stop sharing.
And Sherwin and I don't have any slides or anything.
Okay. Well, do you just want to talk?
Sure. Dave.
I asked Dave. He's our ADEC liaison with the Red Cross in District 14. So I try to keep him in the loop in case we have to exercise our MOU.
And Jeff, you didn't get any contact from the Red Cross on any of those, did you?
I did not.
Okay. So Dave, WB5HJV, and just a quick synopsis of the Red Cross's response to Hurricanes Helene and Milton. We had over 1,000 Red Cross volunteers deployed at one point, and as of this Sunday night, we still have about 1,400 people staying in shelter. So that was something else. The communications event around this is really interesting. There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's some repeaters that really did a good job, and ham radio really came through on a pinch on this one. So very proud of it. Okay, was that a question or just a bark? Who is that? I'm going to find out who that is. Anyway, with the help of our partners, we provided over 2.3 million meals and snacks, and more than 150,000 relief items like shovels, brooms, and tarps. So ham radio from a Texas perspective, we didn't get a call, but Aries was ready to deploy upon request. So thanks for that, Jeff, too, as well. Sherwin, can I talk about our RMS WinLink stuff real quick? Just real quick. You got to be off mute to hear me, for me to hear you.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm audited. I got some background noise here. I'm trying to block out. Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
Dave.
And for the supported gateways we support in Harris County, we've seen a significant increase in our HF WinLink gateway traffic on the HF side related to the hurricane. So once again, importance of having stable RMS gateways on HF outside of the impacted area. So that worked out well. All of the supported RMS gateways are VHF and UHF are operational. We had a recent issue with N5 TRS-11, but we resolved that today. And N5 TRS-13, these are the two UHF twins. We're still working the issue on that one. We'll get to that, and we'll correct the issue at N5 TRS-13. So we're in pretty good shape. As always, please check your channel selection drop down in the WinLink RMS client for the latest status. So any questions on any of that?
Was there any slides connected to this, or
There are no slides.
no slides?
Yeah, I hit him on short notice. I told him it wasn't important. We'll take his word.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Okay, give me back to screen for a minute.
Oh,
Sherwin, you can take over at any time. I made you co-host.
Okay, everyone should be able to see the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Russell, you're up. We have Walk Like Mad, and I'm not sure what mad is, so you're going to have to...
Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Oh, so we can't go and drink, huh?
No.
Do you have slides, Russell?
Yes, sir. I do.
Okay, let me stop sharing and let you have it. Oh,
Yeah,
come on.
you don't have to be terminally sober, just don't drive.
Okay, Russell, you can grab the screen now.
All right, let me make sure I share the right one. I think that's the right one.
Okay, we see. There we go.
There you go.
All right. You see the right one, I guess?
Yeah, we see a fire truck.
That's the one. Okay. Yeah. Excuse me. So this is the 2024 Walk Like Mad. It's a 5K walk. It's held out at Champion Forest Baptist Church, which is just outside the tollway off of 290. And this is actually the first year that they've had radio support. this. So the event, I think they're in their 12th year. They bring together the victims of, or actually the families of victims of drunk driving and first responders, bring them together, and they had this nice casual walk through this wooded pathway. It takes about 3 circuits to go and do a 5K. So people are kind of stacking up on top of one another. It's very slow and casual. It's each of the loops around the path represents something, and I can't remember what. So sorry if anybody has lost anyone due to drunk driving, but I don't remember. It gives the first responders a chance to show off some of their equipment. And then we have exhibitors, commercial exhibitors. We have memorial tents set up. We have chaplains, things like that. So again, this is the second year I've worked this event. The first year, they had no ham radio support at all. And as you can expect, we had one chairperson wanting to talk to the volunteer coordinator, and so she'd pick up her phone, and of course, nobody would answer. So they would text and not get a response, and it was just your normal communications, Charlie Foxtrot. It just didn't work, and I recommended to them after the event. I said, "How about if we talk about doing amateur radio support?" And they're like, "What is that? What would that look like?" So I described it to them, and they went ahead and said, "Yeah, let's give it a try." So we did. The objectives that I had for this event was to create distributed an ICS 201, so everybody would know what to expect when they showed up on site, to run a controlled amateur radio network, controlled net, to facilitate communications between the event organizers, the staff, the volunteers, and guests. It's a normal public service event in that respect. Again, monitor and report health and welfare issues, safety issues, that kind of thing, and then watch for missing children, missing parents, and so forth. Additionally, we were looking for abandoned backpacks, suspicious people. There's a ton of law enforcement out there, but the thing is, even so, they're interested in talking to their buds. You know, they're showing off their equipment. They're pulling fire trucks. They're not really watching for that unexpected thing that could happen. And so that's what the ham community is there for, situational awareness. So in fact, when I brought that up to the organization and said, you know, we're going to be doing this, if we see an abandoned backpack, or if we see somebody walking through the woods and they're carrying an AR-15 and they're in camo, who do we talk to? And they said, gee, I never thought of that. There's so much law enforcement. Why would anyone try? I said, there's a lot of law enforcement. That's why somebody might try. Also wanted to gain experience operating in a controlled net. The more practice we get, the better. Demonstrate to the served organization and showcase what we do so that so they see our relevance. I wanted to make sure that we got off on the right foot. We wanted to make a good first impression, and so act professionally and reliably in our role as communicators. Okay. So in preparation, Walt, N5TQ, and Wayne, K5OB, came with me to the venue to do a site survey. We wanted to see, you know, where can we set up a net control station? What are some of the hazards we might see along the area? What kind of modes can we use as far as, you know, can we get by with a simplex frequency, or do we have to go to a repeater? If we need a repeater, can we secure one close enough that it'll work on HTs? If not, and so forth. So we did the site survey. Excuse me. We did get permission from Joe Ross to use the 14519 repeater as a backup and also as a talk-in frequency. And we went ahead and put together the ICS 201. So just to get you kind of a bird's eye view, the first responders row, when you start seeing some of the pictures, the equipment, the SWAT units and the and the ladder trucks and the rescue trucks and all of that stuff. HPD, robot dogs, etc. Those were all along here. The fire truck pull happened up here. We had some exhibitors here. The helicopter did not land. If it did, it would have been right at this location. And then the walk is this little circuit here. I think I'm going backwards. It goes this way. And we had the sponsor area. We had victims tents, a stage. Actually, the stage ended up being on this area. T-shirts and registration and so forth. Parking was out here in the blue area for guests, and parking for the volunteers was toward the back here. So that's kind of the overlay of everything. So as far as accomplishments, we did establish an effective simplex communications network on 145. I can't remember. It's been too long. We did do a controlled net. Some of the folks were new to controlled nets, and it was good that they, kind of cut their teeth on this event, because it wasn't huge, but it wasn't small either. It was a nice medium-sized net or event, and the net had enough traffic to, actually get some practice on. We deployed radio operators to their assigned event organizers and staffs, i.e., we put shadows with shadowees, and demonstrated to those event personnel what our role was and how to employ our services. So just because we take a shadow and put them with someone doesn't mean that someone knows how to use this shadow. We had to break the habit of pulling out the cell phone and trying to call Nora, or pulling out a cell phone and trying to call Jeanette. They had to instead say, where's my yellow nerd? I need that yellow geek guy, and he'll get the message through and I'll get a reply. So there was a little bit of a learning curve on the served agency side, but it's our responsibility to do that training. And we gained additional experience in operating in a controlled net. Let's see what's next. We had two medical incidents that were reported. One was a heat-related illness that occurred at the volunteer station. It was reported to Net Control. From Net Control, it went to the Jersey Village Fire Department. And we also had a slip and fall victim. And actually, if you go here, the slip and, okay, so here's where, at the VIP tent is where Net Control was. The slip and fall actually occurred here in the parking lot, right at the curb. So you can see there's a building in the way of being able to see where that happened. And most of the people are up in this area. It was reported that the slip and fall occurred at the south end of Responders Row, which is in this area, and it actually occurred here. So we went looking for it, and we were able to find it here, and we could help direct the Jersey Village Fire Department to come and assist. And then we also got a medical unit to come and check out the victim. So he had kind of a bloodied face. It turned out to be mostly road rash. I don't think they transported him, but they did check him out in a unit. So as far as feedback, we had two chairpersons. One was Jeanette, and she's pictured here. And she always looks like this. She's not mad at all. This is just her normal happy face. And Jeff was her shadow. She complimented Jeff on his efficiency and competence to effect message and information exchanges on her behalf. She said it was wonderful having him there, just to turn to and ask the question and get a reply. It just made it so much easier than relying on that dumb old cell phone. And then the MAD chairperson, this is a paid chairperson who works for MAD. She asked afterwards, she said, Russ, do you guys do just Harris County, or do you do events outside of Harris County? Because there's some other things that I think you guys would be really helpful on. So I said, go ahead and let us know what your calendar of events is. We will put it out as a public service event, or put it on our calendars, and we'll see what happens. So she was impressed enough with our team to say, hey, let's do this some more, which is really what I was hoping for. All right, analysis of the capacity to perform critical tasks, which I think is a fancy way of saying, did we do what we said we were going to do? So we had one net control operator, 5 shadows, 2 stationary assignments, and what I'm going to call 1 self-shadowed operator. I would have liked to have seen 2 more shadows to cover additional event personnel. We had 2 folks that should have had shadows but didn't. And I would like to see 4 rovers to patrol the event grounds. That would also have given us a chance to rotate out some of the shadows, so they could go look at the equipment or go look at some of the displays. But instead, our shadows were like full-time shadows the whole time. So more would have been better. But this was our contingent. We had Walt, TJ, Sarah, Jeff, Wayne, Wes, me, Brandy, and Chris. Brandy and Chris, I think, were the newest to public service events. And I know Chris said that he was really happy to be there. He really enjoyed it. And I think Brandy did too. So they, like I said, this was a really good one for them to cut their teeth on. Shortly after net control, shortly after net control was set up, we found out there was an equipment malfunction, and Walt, being the consummate professional he is, seamlessly switched to his backup radio and continued being net control while he diagnosed and repaired his main radio, and then switched back to the main radio. It was totally seamless. It was really awesome. So I just love that he showed what preparedness and resilience and resourcefulness is all about. He came prepared, and he did what he needed to do. And it turns out, he says he's never really been a net control operator for this kind of event, for a public service event. As many nets as he's run, this is the first time he's done a PSE. And so I was really happy that he was there to do that. We had one operator show up, not this operator, but a different operator showed up with a radio that hadn't been programmed with a PL tone. Didn't know how to do it through the faceplate, and so we were able to help that ham get the tone put in. So we're all being resourceful and helpful. And it turns out that the assumptions that we gathered during our site survey were accurate. The 2-meter simplex frequency was just right. We didn't have any issues with it at all. And the resources that the hams brought with them to the event, it was just right. I mean, you just needed a 2-meter HT, run it on low power, and we covered the entire area. So the planning showed to be accurate and reasonable. We were short-staffed, and even so, we were able to pass messages as we needed to. This is you can see a picture of the walk actually happening. All of these folks in yellow are basically associated with one victim of a drunk driving accident. So, and there are multiple teams like that, and a lot of individuals too. Our operators, we had a mix of experience levels, which was great. Passed lots and lots of messages between chairpersons, volunteers, and staff. And anybody who's worked an event like this, like Wings Over Houston, or pretty much any of the triathlons and so forth, there's a lot of logistical messages that get sent at the very beginning of the event. So, you know, where's the toilet paper? We need so-and-so to come over here. We need tables at this tent. We need a tent set up for so-and-so. Some, you know, a dignitary has shown up. Can you show them to this area? Just a lot of logistics. And then all of a sudden the net kind of goes quiet because everything is settled. Everything is moving smoothly. We might get a medical call here or there. And then toward the end, we start getting the logistics again, putting things away. And our operators did use proper controlled net exchanges, and they used their FCC license call signs and stayed within regulation. So very proud of them for that. As far as recommendations, okay, if you've ever tried to shadow anybody, you know this is true. The person you're shadowing is probably a woman. She's probably between 4'8" and 5'2" tall, and she's dressed like everybody else at the event. which makes her practically invisible. And they will dart from one place to another. They'll go from one cluster of people and they'll zip to another, and you chase them down. And as soon as they stop, a whole bunch of other people that are, somewhere between 6 and 12 inches taller than them will cluster around them. And you kind of lose track. And all of a sudden the cluster pulls apart and your person has disappeared. So in theory, you'd like to have your person right next to you. It should look like this. In fact, it looks more like this, where you turn around and your person is one of these penguins among all the other penguins, and you're supposed to be able to find them. So you go looking. You call on the net to say, has anybody seen Jeanette? She ran off again. So I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. I did ask Nora, said, hey, Nora, next year, since we lost you like 3 times, what if we put a balloon hat on your head and we could find you a lot easier? And she said, sure, that'd be great. So that was a little tongue in cheek, but trying to identify or keep track of our shadow E's would be a really good thing. All right. More seriously, though, this is Chief Bitts in the white shirt. Chief Bitts is the chief of the Jersey Village Fire Department. He was the incident manager. I'm saying it wrong. I knew it earlier. Incident commander for the event. And so anything that was police or fire or safety related or health related needed to go to him. We were going to put a shadow on him and he refused. He said, no, I've got my P25 radio. I don't need to be followed around by yellow vested nerds. And I said, yeah, us yellow vested nerds kind of, we do pretty good getting messages to officers really quickly. Can we hang up? Can we give you a person? And he said, no, but I have an extra P25 radio. Would you like to use it? And I thought, well, I'm not going to be listening to his radios. And I declined it. And what I should have done was accepted it, given it to net control. And then we would have, we would basically be putting the P25 radio into our net. And if this happens next year, I think I'm going to accept based on that. Okay, just a little bit more.
Sounds like shades of the Secret Service.
I'm sorry, what?
I just say that sounds like the shades of Secret Service with the assassination attempt.
Well, my concern was that we have a lot of it's a dense population of people. There's no security around it. You would think that the people inside are secure because they're law enforcement and fire and EMS, but in fact, somebody who's got a vendetta against police becomes a target-rich environment, especially if it's a suicide mission. So it's something that's in the back of my mind. We see it happen throughout throughout history, and I just didn't want it to happen to us.
I believe his intention with suggesting the P25 was to have it at the net control station, one there, and everybody in his organization has one already. So net control would be able to reach his organization and he wouldn't need a shadow.
Yep. And I think either I misunderstood that, it didn't come across right, but I think that's a really good way to handle it next year.
Yep.
Okay. And of course, recommendations. Next year, I'd like to have more hams available for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So next year, I guess the way to frame that is to request one P25 radio for net control to communicate with the Jersey Fire Department.
Okay. We'll make sure to do it that way. That's really the
shadows everywhere else.
That's really the end of my information. I have a few pictures of the event. We had a fire truck pull where different teams actually pulled a fire truck. What is this, about 25 or 30 yards from this cone to this one back here. And the winner got a trophy, actually for second and third place. We had ceremony where we had both of our speakers. These are the two that I was talking about. This is the volunteer chairperson. This is Jeanette, and this is the the paid chairperson from the MAD organization. Her name is Nora. We had several groups of mounted. We had different volunteer fire departments. The ceremony was done along this area. Net control is in the very back here, in case that's interesting to you. 3 trophies were given out to the fire truck pool winners, and again, a parade. I have one more. I think one more to show you. Equipment, yes. So lots of law enforcement and other agencies love to come here and show off their equipment. So whether they're showing off their robot dogs or their robot bomb squads, their Black Betties, anybody know which law enforcement agency has a Bel Air police car? City of Bel Air.
54, where are you?
City of Bel Air. Very clever. So anyway, there were dozens of trucks. There was one of those X-ray trucks, like a portable, not INS, ICE truck, it has a big boom that you drive a truck through to X-ray the inside of it. And I mean, they were just showing off everything. Beautiful. So that's all I've got. Are there any questions?
Wayne,
Go ahead.
just a quick comment about the P25, although, you know, not as optimal as having it at net control. We did have a couple of the people that we were chasing around that had P25 radios. So we did the next best thing and relayed different things from one system to the other. The Shadows had people that had P25 radios.
Okay. Thank you, Wayne.
Jeff with
Anybody else?
a comment.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So being a shadow is like being whoever you're shadowing secretary. In one of the slides, you'll see that it's kind of hidden by the microphone, but I'm carrying a bouquet that she was presented with. But she had to keep talking, so she just turned around and gave it to me. And so I carried it around until we go back to the net control desk, and I laid it there until the end of the day. And that picture that he has where all the ham radio folks are sitting around that table, that was at the very end of the day, when the event was pretty much over and we were just BSing on how it went, all that kind of stuff. So it was a good job. Very good event.
Yep. I hope that we get more hams interested in it next year. I hope maybe this presentation will inspire you to come out next year and look at all the fun stuff and participate. I can't say that there's going to be any free beer, but you know, nature. Oh, I didn't notice this earlier. Did you see up here in this picture these stacks and stacks of shiplets?
I sold the donuts right off.
Okay. All right, that's all I've got. Sherwin?
Thanks, Russell. We appreciate it. Any other questions? We got one other presentation and then we're pretty close to done. Why don't you release the screen, Russell? There you go.
Robert with a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just curious. The comment was made that they had a new operator showed up with a radio that did not have the tones programmed in the radio. But then I also understood this was a simplex net. So did I miss something there?
No, you didn't. And the programming of the tone was more intended to be instructional, I guess. It wasn't necessary because we were going simplex, but we thought, you know, let's just add a little extra to it. We need our operators to know how to program a tone into their radio, and especially if they can program it through the buttons on the front, that would be even better. But you know, we need practice. We don't want to go to a live event where we have a disaster scenario and somebody gets a radio and they say, okay, we're going to be on this frequency with this tone. And they go, well, I don't know how to do that. We just end up with egg on our face. So it was really training more than anything.
Yeah, well,
That makes sense.
Even when conducting a simplex net, especially for an event, it's a good idea to use a PL tone so that you can distinguish your transmissions with any spurious ones.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, and there were a lot of radios there, and I didn't think they'd probably get down into 144 range, but just in case there was a harmonic that we were colliding with, we thought maybe the having a PL tone might filter some of that out as well.
Okay, anything else? Okay, next up, Ali has volunteered, excuse me, to give us a talk about the Katy Safety Festival. I assume it's festival. You said fest, Lee, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to stop sharing and let you have the screen.
Well, thank you, Sherwin, and good evening, STX D14 WA5LEE here. I've got a couple of things before we get into the quick presentation. We have about 4 different things that we participated in the last month as pertains to Aries and Auxcom in Harris County. First and foremost, I want to congratulate and thank the quite a few members of District 14 that participated in the Auxcom class that we gave, I believe it was last weekend. The time seems to be compressing for me. Down at TransStar on Saturday and Sunday. We've got George and Robert and Kirk and Milton, who's not on tonight, and Wayne, and a bunch of other people from our area that participated in the first class that I was actually a state-sponsored instructor. It was so great having you guys on board, and I'm hoping that you learned something about doing the Auxcom role for Harris County and other jurisdictions, AHJs, if you will. And it was great having you guys all aboard. We also did the 10 for Texas with the Woodlands Amateur Radio Club and Peter Belbin. We had the quad down there, the Auxcom quad, representing Harris County areas and Harris County Auxcom. Me and my son did that because Kirk was not available. And we also did, what the heck did we do? Yeah, the Katy Safety Fest. You can call it the fest, the festival, what have you. So let's do the quick screen share here, if I can figure out which screen to share. Let's see.
And let's not forget Wings over Houston this weekend.
Yeah, we got to do screen number 2. And here we go. And
I'll cover upcoming events in the next slide, so you don't have to worry about it.
yeah. So can everybody see the giant screen of the Katy Safety Festival 2024?
Yeah, move your attendance roster out of the screen.
Okay, let me get rid of that. Hold on. Where's my mouse? Okay. So there we go. So Kirk and I brought the Auxcom quad down to the Katy Safety Festival back September 28th. We were requested by Jimmy Vance and the Katy Amateur Radio Society. We kind of figured from the beginning that we were going to be working with cars to do ham radio for the event and show people how we do our thing. There's a listing right there of all the groups that were involved in that on the field. But let's see, where am I at here? Okay.
We were in slot 10.
Yeah, we were in slot 10. You can see the little circle I put there in black. And as most of the events that we do, I always forget to take pictures of us because we're too busy taking pictures of other groups and not taking pictures of ourselves. So this is an older picture from the Bevark Hamfest a few months back with Kirk sitting in the quad, but that's basically where we were at slot 10. Slot 11 on the right of us was the Veterans Administration Police Department. And slot 9 to the left was the
alcoholic beverages.
The alcoholic beverage people from the state of Texas. So we had a blast and we hung out together and made fun of all the people that at slot 5 with all the helicopters, police department, fire department, horses, all the other vehicles on display. All the kids wanted to do was to climb into the best trash truck and blow the air horn. And we all got to laugh at that. So it was quite interesting. So this was the Chinook that landed from the Navy. Go Navy. They were there. my folks from the Life Flight showed up with Life Flight 7, which is the green children transport that sometimes shows up at the Houston Air Show. So they landed, and I knew the crew, so I'm a dispatcher for them. So we were able to bond a little bit, and they showed up. We had the American Red Cross there, Sci-Fair, CERT, and a bunch of other CERT teams made an appearance. Let's not forget the Fire Marshal's office from Harris County. Everybody was giving out all kinds of merch and little toys and stuff like that. The Katy Police Department was there with their mascot, who was probably dying in the 85-degree heat. So good for him. We had the sheriff's office, of course. And speaking of course, with the sheriff's office brought their horses, of course, and they were right upwind from me and Kirk in our our quad there. So you can imagine how much fun it was to smell those horses, but the kids got a blast out of it. HPD SWAT team was there with their response vehicle and let the kids climb around inside and pop up in the top portal. The Katy ISD was there with their dog and their mascot, once again, a sweating mascot. And of course, Union Pacific showed up, the train police, with giveaways and information about the UPC, the UP Police Department. We had a bunch of fire departments in there. We had Willow Park and Katy and Sci-Fair and a bunch of other departments with their ladders up and the flags flying. They had a couple of little robots, including this fire hydrant robot, which was a blast because it was driving around remote control and spraying water on all the kids. So they got a kick out of that. They also did a CPR demonstration and training for kids during the event, where they demonstrated how to do adult and child and infant CPR. And the person with the hand with the blue fingernails on top of the kid looks like she might need people to know the skills of CPR long before any of these dummies do. Sorry. Anyway, I found that amusing. Also, the fire department did a great demonstration on how to light a stove on fire using a can of gasoline and then showing everybody how it's put out. I found that to be pretty interesting. And there was a firefighter event, and this is a quick TikTok video of all the events that they did. And having been a participant in several of those fire department challenges throughout the years, like 100 years ago back in New York and Pennsylvania, this is not easy. Those dummies are 150 pounds. Those hoses are 75 pounds. The gear you wear is 76 pounds. And it was a lot of fun for everybody involved. So that's all I have as far as the PowerPoint is concerned. I just want to direct everybody's attention to Sherwin with the upcoming events. And once again, thank everybody for joining us at the AUXCOM class. There will be no further AUXCOM or any other classes through Harris County or the state of Texas to the end of the year, when Joey Clements, our liaison to Harris County, logistics section chief, will be officially retiring. Hopefully, this time he'll actually be retiring, and Jeff Shryock will be taking over. I'm sorry, Brett Shryock will be taking over. And we're working on getting him to be more ham friendly. So we will continue to have a good relationship with Harris County. And all that, what else do I have? I don't think I have anything else. So that being said, once again, thanks to the AUXCOM guys. Back to Sherwin.
Helps if I turn my microphone on. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, let's go to the last slide. I went out and looked at harriscountyaries.org. and pulled up, obviously this one here occurred this last weekend. By the way, for those of you who've never done this, this is a blast. My wife and I do it, but we couldn't do it this year because we're out of town. Wings Over Houston is coming up next weekend. And we had one November item, the Wallace Freedom Ride. They didn't have a specific date yet, but there's the contact information if you're interested. You can all get this from Harris County Aries.org website. And let's see what else is left. We're doing pretty good, guys. Any other business? Anything you want to bring up? I was going to make a comment, Lee. You mentioned about someone there helping them learn CPR that may be needing it. I always laugh at Joey's joke when he starts a class. He always asks, "Is there any type O blood donors in the class?" Because if something happens to him, he wants to make sure he's covered.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But the one event that I forgot to mention is we played a role at the CERT Teen event last week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at the Harris County Fire Marshal's office. It's much like the regular CERT rodeo, except we've got the teenagers from all of the Houston and District 14 Harris County area school districts involved. We had over 1,600 kids. And Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we got to scare the hell out of them at the fire tower by the first question we ask is, okay, welcome to the fire tower. Does anybody here have any lung problems, heart problems, or a unnatural fear of rodents, raccoons, or snakes? Very good. And of course, they all say, well, look, there's snakes in there. And then I just continue. So yeah, it's lots of fun. And the kids did really well. Back to you. Sorry.
That's it. Anything else? Because we're running right a little bit over an hour, so we're doing pretty good. It would be nice if we could recognize Joey in some event. I'm toying with the idea of trying to get together a meeting at TransStar maybe in December to see if we can get Joey to show up and show our appreciation. He's been a great supporter of Aries over the years and amateur radio too. So anyone who has any ideas, I'll probably talk to Ben. Is Ben still on?
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll talk to you. We'll take this offline. No reason tying everybody up. Let's see if we can figure out some way to do it.
Yeah, I would recommend you talk to Ben, Alan Isaacson, and the people. By the way, Wayne, WWW, his plaque went up on the wall by the radio room today with his license as a silent key.
Good deal. Good
Wayne,
deal.
right? Yeah, but I would recommend talking to Ben and Dave Isaacson and Jeff to figure out some kind of tribute. I mean, he says he's retiring, but he's also said he's retiring 3 times and he hasn't. Oh, I forgot Dominic. N5TCB was also in the Oxcom class. I forgot you. You've got your hand up, Dominic. You're probably going to reprimand me for not mentioning you. But yeah, Dom was in there as well. He did not wear his Aries hat with the propeller on top, which made for a very difficult Section 9 that I was responsible for, because I didn't have him to call on to illustrate what not to wear if you show up for an event for Oxcom. So anyway, Sherwin, you might want to call on Dominic. I think he put his hand down. I think that's what he was going to say. I was there too.
Okay. Congratulations to all the attendees. Good deal. Okay, I'm ready to finish this up unless anyone else has any business.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Dom.
No, this wasn't about the hat or the Oxcom course. It was an excellent course, though. Thanks, everybody. Southeast Texas Amateur Radio Club is going to have an event, and it's going to be on November the 2nd at Lawrence Park. It's going to be a GOTA type event. We've been having these events throughout the city and the city park, usually next to one of the bike trails or hike trails. And this one's next to the old MKT Katy Trail. It's located off Shepherd Drive, just north of I-10. You get off I-10, go through some S curves, cross Buffalo Bayou, then go over the old railroad bridge. You see the park to the right. So you can get into it a little past the place where you can buy Tommy Vaughn Ford has fleet sales. And the idea behind this is, again, amateur radio exposure. And we will have various, you don't have to be a member of Southeast to come. You can bring your equipment. You can look at stuff that's for field day or whatever. And it's from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we're just welcoming anybody and everybody to come. With that, no other comments.
Kirk, are you still managing the what is it? HoustonAries.com website? Who's I'm lost track. Who's managing that?
The administrator of the Harris County Aries website, which is a reflector of the STX Aries Northwest, blah, 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 is KJ.
Okay. Why don't you, Dom, why don't you?
I'm one of the administrators of the groups.io.
Okay, well, I was thinking that we could get that into the harriscountyaries.org scheduled events if Dom would contact him.
Yeah. Contact KJ, KJ5EMP. Dominic, if you can't find his email, just contact me. I'll give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Also,
that'd be a good place for that.
yeah.
Okay, anything else, guys? I'll let you go. I know I know some of you got a HF net here, probably starting right about now.
It's
Yeah,
already
it
begun.
started 8 minutes ago and I completely forgot about it. Thanks.
Yeah, well, I'll let you go. Thanks for attending. I normally try to skip November and December for the meetings, but because Joey's leaving and everything else, I think I'm going to try to squeeze another one in. So stand by to be informed. Any other questions? Okay, guys, thanks a lot. We'll see y'all later on the radio.
Thank you.
Wow, did I screw that up? I completely forgot to open up NetLogger for Dave. He's on his own.